Miss Ragsdale come in, so thank you, Miss Ragsdale, for taking time. Welcome to the 2013 and 14 school year, and I see some familiar faces, and then I see some new faces, so it's great. I have a couple of things I'd like to talk about just today to make sure we're all on the same page. The first, this is the APR update for Brittany Woods Middle School, and so we'll tag that with the school improvement plan, then PBIS, then SOAR time, and then just communication and calendar, because we've had some questions about that stuff. So, and then lastly, the Elevate Committee, which is actually the committee meeting that several of us just came from. So, I'll take these, and if you want to pass these to the back table. So, these are released by DESE, and now that this is based on our accreditation and how the school district is going through accreditation, if you look on this page, on the very first page, you'll see that, and I'm going to kind of do the brief version of this, but if anyone has a longer time, if they'd like to sit down and talk through it with me more specifically, we can. Brittany Woods, we did okay. We got basically 75% of the total amount of points in English, language arts, and math, but we didn't get any of the points in science. That is something that is probably due to the fact that before science wasn't tested as regularly as English and Com Arts, so our focus a lot was on the English and Com Arts, but now as we know with the new STEM projects and everything that we need to do, there's an additional need for this concentration in science. So you'll probably see that a lot as we go forward. Basically, we got our points from status, which was meaning what we hit in terms of the goal, plus progress, which means that we're growing at an increased rate. So that's where you could see those different points. So we ended up with 12 out of 16 in English language arts, 12 out of 16 in math, and unfortunately 0 out of 16 in science. One of the things that I pride ourselves on is being very transparent. So we really are clear about where we need to go and what we need to work on. And when we looked at this data as a community over the summer, the consistency with science was one thing that really jumped up and jumped to our attention. The next thing I have for us, number 2, is the subgroup data. If you guys remember with AYP, they used to have all the different kinds of different race, free and reduced lunch, what am I missing? Special school district, the different ways that the kids were achieving. Now they've lumped it all together in one, and then you get points based on that. On that, we received 3 out of the 4 points in English language arts, 3 out of the 4 points in mathematics, and again 0 out of the 4 points in science. So you can see that really science took a toll because everybody was focusing on Com Arts and math for so long. And a lot of the times, and I'm not putting, we all own it, but the elementary school specifically did a lot more English and Com Arts than they did science because it wasn't tested subjects. And so as they rolled up, we saw a deficiency there. So we're really excited that now we can really put back a specific emphasis on what we're doing in science and really bring that to the forefront. I was watching 60 Minutes last night about robotics and machinery and where things are projected to go, and it is amazing. So I'm really glad to say that all of our, how are you? A lot of our teachers are back focusing again on that critical piece. The other one, the last event that's specific to Brittany Woods in regards to the MSIP data is our attendance, and we got 10 out of 10 for our attendance. We did a great job. We got, not only did we hit our status points, we got 6 points for status, but we got exceeding in terms of growth, and so we got 7 points added, so we even went above, so we got the full 10 points for that for our attendance. And the attendance goal is different. It's not average daily attendance anymore. It's 90% of the kids need to be here 90% of the time. And that is any absence, whether it's doctor, vacation, sick, suspension. Anytime a kid is out of school, and it's done by minutes, it's not done by days. So if you have a kid that's consistently coming late, and they do that to the point where it's below 90%, then they would count against us. So 90% essentially in the school year, Ms. Ragsdale, is at 17 days? Yeah. You can miss 17 days, about 180 days. You can miss 17 days and have that 90% attendance, but that's the way it's registered in the state. So we did a really good job, and Ms. Ragsdale took leadership on that, and we did an awesome job of making sure that we were meeting that goal. So when we sat down to set so this was the review of last year's work and the previous year's work. The MPI scores that you see here, those are, so you'll see where it says advanced and proficient, that's the percentage of kids that are advanced and proficient. And then where you see MPI, what it actually lists out there is it's a calculation based on where the kids score in advanced, proficient, basic, and below basic. And so you get 5 points for each advanced student multiplied by the number of students, 4 points for each proficient student multiplied by the number of students, 3 points for each basic student, so that's just below grade level, and the number of students, and then only 1 point for kids that are below basic. The Commissioner of Education has said by the year 2020 she wants nobody in the below basic range. So she's really made an emphasis that you need to move the kids out of that below basic. So therefore you have, those kids are calculated at 1 point per student, whereas the basic is 3. So you can see there's no 2 for that jump. One of the things that we found when we looked at our scores is we've got to focus on those below basic kids. We got to get those moved up, but we also have to really also make sure that we're focusing that all of our advanced kids are scoring advanced. So we're kind of at that end of the spectrum, which is a little different because before schools would be focusing on what they called the bump kids, which were the ones right in the middle to get them up over the bump because of the way that it used to be calculated with percentages, and now it's really based on that MPI total calculation. I know I'm talking fast. So, you can go through and kind of look at these. So Brittany was basically, we've grown each year. We did see a slight dip this year in mathematics. 8th grade math was calculated differently this year. Before, it used to be that they would take the 8th grade math test, which is on 8th grade level, as well as algebra or geometry, which is an advanced grade level. This year, what they did was they said you're only going to take one test. So our 8th grade advanced kids only took geometry or only took algebra. They didn't take also the 8th grade level math. So we lost a bit of kids who were in that percentage that probably would have scored advanced or proficient on the 8th grade level math, but they were taking upper level maths. So one of the things that we're really trying to do this year is to closely monitor those kids, because if you're taking algebra or geometry, you actually will end up, it goes on your transcript for high school. So we really want to make sure that if you're taking those classes that you score advanced or proficient, because we would hate to have you challenging yourself a year or 2 years above yourself and then scoring basic or below basic. So those are some things that we're going to really be working with families on and making sure that the teachers are monitoring that as we go through. So those were the academic achievement goals. When we sat down and we made a very specific, a really clear goal that the kids can know, the teachers can know, the parents can know. And this year we are really specifically looking at 50%. We want to have 50% of the kids advanced or proficient on each of those levels. Now the MPI scores, the district will give me those to see how they go. And we are, like I said, those are also looking at, we want to make sure that our advanced students continue to be advanced, and then we get those kids out of below basic into basic for that MPI range. But we really are going to push to the kids, because I think it's real clear for kids to know, where do you fall? Are you on 50% of the kids? Are you a 50% at or above grade level or not? Where do you fall? And even for teachers, if they're doing different types of assessment in their classes, are 50% of the kids scoring where they need to score? Yes?
Are you saying that even though from 2012 to 2013, we only bumped, well, I'm not sure which page to look at, but
start with the first
one.
Yeah.
We bumped from 38% to 43%, and that's the number you want to bump all the way up to 50.
Right.
And is that doable?
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. We really have spent a lot of the time in the last couple of years getting our feet wet and figuring out what we want to do and where we're going. But I really do believe we can be at 50%.
And math from 37
we made a 5
to 50?
So math, if you look, we took a dip from 40% to 37. So we went down 3 percentage points. So the idea is that, and we really did look closer at where we placed kids in math this year because of the difference in the advanced math. So that we took a real good look at that. But yeah, we're really going to do our very best to hit that 10%. And taking a look at where those advanced kids are placing themselves, as well as where the below kids are placing the kids. Now, it will be higher. Our goal will be higher than what the district will give us. But I really do think we can do it. And if we can do it, then we get a lot of points for progress, which will help with our accreditation. I mean, we have to, as a district, we are fully accredited, and you'll hear this come out, and on Thursday night the superintendent's going to talk at the board workshop about it, and we are fully accredited. But we need to be better than just fully accredited. Mm-hmm. We need to be better than just fully accredited. So we got to make these big leaps, and we need to get that. In the same sense, the goal is to reduce the amount of referrals with classroom disruption, refusing staff requests, and violent asks by 50%. So we're looking straight 50%. And we had a lot of conversation around it. And today we just had a 2-hour meeting with our community school committee prior to this about how are we doing this, what community partners. And Ms. Ragsdale, as we left, I was like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about all this? And she said, there's a lot of people around that table. I mean, there was probably as many people around that table as sitting around here tonight with lots of different viewpoints and views and expertise. But how can we all come together to attack those goals? So, and I think also the part that we haven't never done that we're really going to be committed to do this year is bring the kids into the loop. You know, have the kids into the loop. We're actually going to have 2 of our students sit on that Elevate Community School group, 2 of our 8th graders, and then student council, I'm going to go over all this with my student council on Friday during SOAR time, so that the kids will start having ownership into where they're at and where they're going and having